Hey everyone, let's dive right into this explainer. If you've ever found yourself trying to describe your schedule or just your everyday life, you know that simply stating an action usually isn't quite enough, right? People want details. They want to know the frequency. And that is exactly what we are mastering today.
We've got a super clear roadmap for today. We're going to cover an introduction to frequency, look at the percentage scale, check out word positions with main verbs and the verb to be, tackle a special rule for never, and wrap it all up with a structure summary.
All right, Section 1, Introduction to Frequency. How often do you actually do that?
When we talk about our routines, we inevitably have to answer one main question from our listener. How often? Or, translated into Spanish, ¿qué tan seguido? Think about it. Your morning routine, your work schedule, your hobbies. You don't just drink coffee or study English. You do these things at specific rhythms.
So adverbs of frequency are literally the exact tool we need to answer that specific question. They're special little words, like always, sometimes, or rarely, that we inject right into our sentences to give listeners a precise measure of our habits. They add totally new texture to what would otherwise be a pretty flat statement.
Look how adding just one single word changes the whole game here. The sentence, I study, is great, but it's kind of vague. Do you study once a year, every day? But change it to I always study, and boom. With just one adverb, we've transformed a basic sentence into a precise habit that happens every single time.
Moving right along to Section 2, the percentage scale. Let's visualize this frequency from 100% all the way down to 0.
To wrap our heads around these words easily, it really helps to map them directly onto a percentage scale. If an action happens every single time without fail, that's 100%, always. Stepping down a bit to the 80 or 90% mark we hit usually, meaning normally. At 60 to 70%, it's often or frequently. Then sometimes drops us into that 30 to 40% range for those occasional actions. Rarely sits way down at 10 to 20%, meaning almost never. And finally, hitting absolute rock bottom at 0%, we've got never.
So, saying I always wake up at 7 leaves absolutely no room for interpretation. It happens every time. On the total opposite end of the spectrum, saying she never drinks coffee guarantees that this action happens exactly 0 times.
Okay, Section 3, Position with main verbs. Where does this word actually go?
When your sentence uses a normal action verb, think study, work, play, watch, or arrive, the adverb has a very specific spot. It must go directly before the main verb. Let me repeat that because it's the golden rule. Directly before the main verb. Our formula is subject plus the adverb plus the base verb.
You can build your sentence step by step, almost like clicking puzzle pieces together. Step 1, lay down your subject, like I, she, or they. Step 2, lock in your frequency adverb, like always, usually, or often. And step 3, finish it off with your base verb. It's a highly predictable, easily repeatable pattern.
Let's put this into action. Notice how with normal routines, action words like watch, does, and arrive are pushed directly to the right of the frequency adverb. I sometimes watch. She always does. They rarely arrive. The adverb acts like a little modifier sitting right in front of the action, getting the listener ready for exactly how often it's going to happen. Next up is Section 4, the verb to be. And yes, this is the major exception to the rule.
Because the verb to be, am, is, and are, is such a remarkably strong foundational verb in English, it completely flips the word order. The rule we literally just learned, toss it out the window. With to be, the adverb gets pushed to the back. It has to go strictly after the verb.
This gives us our second core formula. You start with the subject, follow it immediately with the verb to be, am, is, or are, and only then do you drop in your frequency adverb.
For example, instead of saying I always am tired, which follows the old rule but sounds totally off to a native speaker, we have to use the new rule and say I am always tired on Monday. The am comes first, and the always tucks in right behind it. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that sleepy Monday feeling, right?
All right, Section 5, the special rule for never, the negative power of 0%.
Now, unlike in Spanish, where double negatives are perfectly normal, like saying yo nunca estudio, the word never in English is entirely negative all by itself. We don't need, and actually can't use, another negative word in the same sentence. Saying I don't never study is just structurally wrong. The clean, correct way to say it is simply, I never study.
The absolute crucial point here is that you must never combine the word never with auxiliary negative words like don't or doesn't. It's redundant. It's kind of like putting two minus signs together. Just let the word never do all the negative heavy lifting on its own. For example, he never eats fast food. Notice we didn't say he doesn't never eat fast food. We just used our standard subject plus adverb plus verb formula and let never pull all the weight. Simple, precise, and completely correct.
Finally, Section 6, Structure Summary. Let's bring all these formulas together.
If you remember that adverbs go before normal verbs, but they go after the verb to be, and that the word never stands entirely alone without any help from don't or doesn't, you're going to be in fantastic shape. Seriously, just these 3 rules will fix the vast majority of mistakes English learners make with frequency. Following these specific rules allows us to describe our daily lives, our schedules, and our habits with absolute clarity. You're not just giving people vague ideas anymore, you're painting a perfectly accurate picture of your routine for them. So, taking everything we just unpacked in this explainer and keeping that 0 to 100% scale fresh in your mind, how often will you challenge yourself to use these adverbs in your very next English conversation? Will it be sometimes, usually, or always? The more you practice locking them right next to your verbs, the more natural they'll become. Go out there and start using them.